Watching and listening. You're welcome to the 2026 Presidential Debate. We're coming to you live from the Mulungushi International Conference Center. I'm your host for this debate. My name is Andrew Mwansa. We'll run a series of two presidential debates starting tonight, the 28th of July, and we'll have our next one tomorrow, the 29th of July, 2026. The debates are a platform for the electorate to get solutions from the 14 presidential candidates on issues pertinent to our beloved country, Zambia. We'd like to thank our cooperating partners, the BBC Media Action and the Civil Society for Poverty Reduction, for being part of this engagement. We have a total of 120 minutes of this debate, and you're watching this broadcast live on the Diamond Media Group, which includes Channel 271 on DSTV, Channel 20 on GoTV. This program is also streaming live on our Facebook page. That's our Diamond TV online. This program is live also on Musanza TV on Channel 93. That's Chopstar. It's live on One Love Radio in Lusaka, Siavonga, Joma, Mansa, Kasama, and Mongu. This program is also being aired on different radio platforms across the country, including Mafken TV and radio on the Copper Belt, Radio Liseli in Mongu, Western Province, Zambezi FM in Livingstone, Iteji Radio in Iteji, Voice of Kalomo in Kalomo, Breeze FM in Chipata, Mpangwe Radio in Katete, Malejam Radio in Lusaka, Spice FM in Kabwe, Radio Kabangabanga in Solwezi, Radio Ichengelo in Kitwe, Chimwemwe Radio in Ndola, Radio Yangeni in Mansa, KFM in Mansa, Radio Luanase in Mansa as well, Radio Mano in Kasama, Radio Luswepo in Mbala, ISO FM in Isoka, ZFM in Kapiri, Culture FM in Kitwe, Tuta FM in Mansa, Pule Province, Ekoti Radio in Mungwi, that is the northern province of our country. Now, before we commence our debate, Diamond Media formally invited all the 14 presidential candidates that were duly nominated by the Electoral Commission of Zambia to participate in this debate. The only exception is Mr. Xavier Chungu, who is currently in police custody and therefore is unavailable to participate in this debate. Before we can commence our debate tonight, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to show you the 14 presidential candidates that you expect to see in the next 16 days on the ballot.
Given Mwenya Chansa is the presidential candidate for the Movement for Economic Emancipation, or MEE. He is campaigning on economic empowerment, job creation, and improving livelihoods, with a focus on increasing opportunities for ordinary Zambians and strengthening the country's productive sectors. Howard Kunda is the leader and presidential candidate for the Zambia Wake Up Party, known as ZAWAPA. He is a lawyer and son of Zambia's late Vice President, George Kunda. His campaign focuses on governance reforms, economic development, and youth participation in national leadership. Dr. Brian Mushimba is the president of the Organized People's Party, an engineer and academic by profession. He previously served as Minister of Transport and Communications. He is seeking the presidency on a platform centered on economic transformation, innovation, and institutional reforms. Richwell Siamunene is the leader and presidential candidate of the New Focus Party. He is contesting the presidency with an agenda that emphasizes economic inclusion, governance reforms, and expanding opportunities for citizens through sustainable national development. Ackim Njobvu is the presidential candidate for the Democratic Union. He enters the race advocating for democratic governance, citizen participation, and policies aimed at promoting economic growth, accountability, and improved public service delivery. Daniel Pule is the leader and presidential candidate of the Christian Democratic Party. A veteran politician, he advocates for governance guided by Christian values, economic growth, and national unity. Xavier Chungu is the presidential candidate for the Liberal Democrats Party. He has since withdrawn from the presidential race, but prior to that, he was contesting the 2026 election with a platform focused on governance reforms, economic development, and expanding opportunities for citizens through accountable leadership. Hakainde Hichilema is Zambia's 7th Republican president and leader of the United Party for National Development. An economist and businessman by profession, he was elected president in 2021 and is seeking a second term after previously contesting the presidency several times. Brian Munduile is the presidential candidate for the National Reconciliation Party for Unity and Prosperity. A lawyer by profession, he previously served as leader of opposition in parliament and has held cabinet positions including Minister of Works and Supply. Dr. Fred Membe is the founder and president of the Socialist Party. A veteran journalist and former newspaper publisher, he has been active in public affairs for decades and campaigns on policies centered around social justice, public services, and economic equality. Hari Kalaba is the leader of Citizens First. He previously served as Zambia's Minister of Foreign Affairs before leaving government. His campaign focuses on governance reforms, economic recovery, and national development. Dr. Richard Silumbe is the president of the Leadership Movement. He is contesting the presidency with a focus on leadership renewal, healthcare improvement, economic development, and strengthening public institutions. Kelvin Fubewalia, widely known as KBF, is the founder and leader of Zambia Must Prosper. A lawyer and businessman by profession, he previously served in senior legal and political roles and is campaigning on economic reforms, governance, and constitutionalism. Given Katuta, an independent presidential candidate, the only female presidential candidate. A former member of parliament for She has served in Zambia's National Assembly and is contesting the presidency as an independent candidate, advocating for leadership focused on citizen welfare and national development.
Ladies and gentlemen, those are the 14 presidential candidates. Allow me now to have the honor and privilege to invite the candidates that are debating on the first day of our debate. Allow me to call upon the leader and president of Zambia Wake Up Party, Mr. Howard Kunda. A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. That is our first presidential candidate, the leader and party president of the Zambia Wake Up Party. Allow me to introduce independent candidate in this race, Given Katuta. Allow me, ladies and gentlemen, to introduce the next candidate, the party leader and president of Democratic Union, Ackim Antony Njobvu. Ladies and gentlemen, today we were expected to host 7 presidential candidates, and out of the 7 presidential candidates, only 3 have confirmed their attendance. We extended our invitation to Given Mwenya Chansa, party leader of Movement for Economic Emancipation. We also extended our invitation to OPP leader Dr. Brian Munduile. We also did extend our invitation to party leader of the Christian Democratic Party, Dr. Daniel Pule. But seeing that they're not here, their podiums will be empty. Ladies and gentlemen, our sign language interpreter for today is Pamela Chanda. A big round of applause for Pamela Chanda. We'll begin our debate, but before we begin our debate, allow me to run you through the rules of the debate presidential candidates. The expectation tonight is that all the issues that you are bringing out must not be out of context. Your debates must be issue-based. The candidates are only allowed to speak through the moderator, who is myself. The candidates are only allowed also to speak within the time frame that is allocated to each one of you. There's a monitor, there's a screen which is right in front of you, and the time will be ticking to show how far you've gone with your submission. Each candidate will be allocated 2 minutes to raise critical points in each thematic area. At the end of all thematic discussions, candidates will have 2 minutes to collectively rebut. Candidates will be stopped once time is up. Profanity, hate speech, and character assassination will lead to disqualification of the candidate. Jeering, booing, and clapping will not be allowed during the process of the debate. The candidate may not have access to any person during the debate other than myself, the moderator, and in the case of an emergency, a member of the production crew will help you. Ladies and gentlemen, our first key thematic area is the economy. And before we get into the debate, let's break the ice with the package which focuses on Zambia's cost of living between 2021 up to date.
Every election is about choices, but for many Zambians, the biggest issue isn't politics, it's the cost of living, which now stands at 12,000 kwacha. From the price of milli meal to transport and electricity, household budgets remain under pressure. Now, as Zambians head to the polls, many voters are asking one question: who has the best plan to ease the burden? Well, we took to the streets and asked the public how the cost of living is impacting their livelihoods.
Business number 2011. Mabwisa na fruits. But tala business wenda pona maningi. Profit is a core. But now business ya vuta ili pass maningi. Na profit tioneke buno bwena chifutako.
Vintu vinativuta tivutika isema business yatu achifukwa vintu vinadula. Mukuoda nkuku yamene tenzo oda muli 100 kwacha apa ukaenda oda nkuku nima 160 170 ine kutini bwele nigulise pano ini chose the profit chavuta.
Business inayamba mu 1980 masiku akumbuka tizenza bwino kwa zipezeka chulwa panga chintu vogulisa so ntawe ngono vaguliwa vaenda but vanu madays zapeza tukapanga chintu watantika so chinkala ntawe italo chiguliwe pezeka palasi tuchigulisa chipu uchira mwe chi suppose gulisiwa so yawo chankalisa
but vika isiviri bwino kaya kuli venango but kulise tionapo bwino vonse vikali usemu chabe vikali vovuta mwevangala vitu vutira past mayezi yonse ya past 4 years yapita.
And that's how people feel. But we equally got the views of different experts regarding the cost of living and why it keeps increasing and whether it is possible to see it reduce.
Indeed, there's been progress in the drop in inflation measured year to year, and then the debt restructuring process has also progressed. We also see some uptick in terms of GDP, and those are important for macroeconomic stability. Even if, Rachel, we say that inflation is dropping, it doesn't mean that the prices of things are going down. I need to emphasize that point. What inflation measures is the speed at which prices of things are going up. So if we talk about the cost of living on one hand, okay? And then we need to look at something else. We need to look at income. Okay, what do people gain? So the first issue is that many people simply do not earn enough.
You will appreciate that in the last 10 years, since 2015, when we had our best economic growth, which was around 29 billion, we have not surpassed this mark. So it means that for 10 years, our cost of living has been shrinking because we have not been growing our income levels. And this is the key issue that we haven't addressed. Yes, the economy has gone up and down in terms of growing, but it hasn't grown above the 29 billion.
So in principle, I think we could say that 60% of Zambia's population is considered poor. That's 6 out of every 10 people you are likely to interact with. And with that, we go a step further now to look at the poverty line, which is basically then saying that this percentage of people is also living below $2.15 US dollars a day. Can Zambia's cost of living really reduce? The answer is yes. Okay, the answer is yes, because there is a complement of factors that must be in play in order for us to see impact to cost of living. But I must be quick to say that reduction in cost of living is not just dependent on a drop in inflation. I think the current government has done what needed to be done in terms of, number one, stabilizing an economy that made it difficult to produce and to grow. Because we did get to a point where our economy became unstable, and with an unstable economy, it is difficult to drive other factors that would lead to higher production and so on and so forth. So that's what experts are saying. Now, elections are often decided by promises, and for many households, daily realities carry more weight than campaign rhetoric. Now, as voters prepare to cast their ballots, the cost of putting food on the table may prove to be one of the biggest deciding factors.
Thank you so much, Malama Mukonde, for that report. Allow me to make a correction. The presidential candidate who was supposed to be on the podium this evening is Organized People's Party President, Dr. Brian Mushimba, as opposed to NRPUP President, Mr. Brian Mundubile, who is expected to debate tomorrow. Presidential candidates, the package is very clear. The biggest issue in this campaign is the high cost of living. The current basic needs and nutrition basket for a family of 5 in Lusaka is way above 12,000 kwacha. This is according to the Jesuit Center for Theological Reflection. I'd like to begin with you, Party President of the DU, on what plans you have to address this economic challenge. You have 2 minutes to address this issue.
Thank you so much, Andrew. As the Democratic Union, we are concerned with the high cost of living, and I think it's one of the key issues that we have to address as a party. We've got 3 solutions to the issue of the cost of living. The first one is empowerment. We'll need to create more jobs and opportunities for empowerment. So in terms of creating employment opportunities, we have targeted to create employment opportunities to a tune of 4 million jobs through what we are calling the creation of strategic corporations. So we have got 4 key areas in our economy, that is agriculture, mining, engineering and construction, as well as technology and innovation. Together with a capital economic zone, they should be able to give us that 4 million jobs that we desire to achieve. Then also, we also want through the National Resources Corporation to be able to convert our natural resources into government revenue. That then will be channeled through to empowerment for especially the youths and the women. Then another intervention that we've put in place, we are going to establish public commercial farms in all the districts through the National Agriculture and Food Corporation, so that then we have enough food in the country so that people are able to afford. If it gets so difficult for people to still afford, we introduce subsidies for our staple food. this is what we will do. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You still had remained with 30 seconds, but it's good you've satisfied your first response. Coming to you, independent presidential candidate, given Katuta, what are the solutions to addressing the high cost of living?
Thank you so much. When you look at what is prevailing, I think it's important that for us, when we take over the office, we'll start with what can help every Zambian to be able to afford food. So we are looking at how we can use our homegrown solutions to enable every Zambian to be able to access food on the table. The truth of the matter is that we cannot measure how we're doing well economically when a mother cannot afford to put food on the table. So we are saying we want to make sure that what we have is what we're going to use, especially farming. We've been dependent on mining, so for us, we are going to look at farming where we can easily turn what we'll be producing into something that can grow faster. And we want to make sure that farming becomes a profitable venture, not something that is looked at like something that should be done as a means of just feeding few. So for us, we are saying we are going to concentrate on what we can use best. Of course, it's the land that we have, the natural resources. So we're talking about farming. How do we improve the farming sector? We're saying that we want to make sure that we improve on with the way I'll call them peasant farmers, do the farming. So we are saying that what we're going to do is first to use what we have at the moment. And also the other thing is that we're looking at to give more empowerment to our peasant farmers.
Your time is up. Thank you so much, Madam Given Katuta. ZAWAPA leader and president Howard Kunda, the macroeconomic indicators, all of them are pointing in the right direction. But the cost of living for an average Zambian remains high. There seems to be a mismatch here. What is the turnaround plan for you as ZAWAPA?
Yeah, I think for us, it's looking at the fundamentals. For us, we are looking at the agriculture sector. We are looking at the mining sector. These are, areas where we would need to use to make sure that there are jobs that are created so that our people would be able to be self-reliant. And that is one issue that we would like to pursue. We would like to ensure that the people are independent so that they are able to grow their food, and also government coming in for issues like using our men and women in uniform to do those agriculture activities in those areas. In the 116 districts, we intend to come and give them farms, and I can mention them. There are 5: Zambia Army, Zambia Air Force, Zambia Correctional Service, Zambia Police, and Zambia National Service. These are institutions that have the agriculture department. Why not use that to ensure that food is grown, to also encourage our small-scale farmers to do business, because that is also one area where we have been dependent or depending on the small-scale farmers to guarantee food security. So we would want a situation where our men and women in uniform guarantee that food security. We call it a food security issue.
And time is up.
Yeah.
ZAWAPA President, Mr. Howard Kunda. In this round, ladies and gentlemen, presidential candidates, I would like to give an opportunity To add context to your first and earlier submissions, or if you have any points of rebuttal to the presidential candidate, you can make this round and take an opportunity to do so.
Thank you so much. For me, what is important is that the country needs to be food secure. We need to prioritize our citizens. The desire of the Democratic Union is that we are going to prioritize our citizens, to put Zambia first. And we are promising a fresh start. I'm sure you've heard the ideas that I've put across. They are different from what you've heard from most politicians. Or some of the politicians have actually gotten our ideas from us. So what we are saying is, well, we want to do things differently. When we talk about Zambia, Zambia's got a great potential and we want to reposition it. I'm sure you know our history. We managed to give independence to the countries around us. So this country has got great potential. What we need is the right leadership to be able to tap the resources that we have and convert them into opportunities for our citizens. So if we talk about the cost of living, our desire is that we empower our young people. Our young people are the most who are affected, the youth and also the women, when we talk about the cost of living. So then how would we address this challenge that our young people are faced with? We believe employment opportunities is one of the best options that we can provide to them, as well as giving them empowerment. Not everyone is interested in working. Like myself, I'm no longer interested in working after leaving my position as a CFO. I would like to explore business opportunities. So the Democratic Union will try by all means to make sure that our resources are converted.
What are you telling to the Zambians that look at you, Mr. President,
yes,
and say you have no direction?
Yeah.
Just a few weeks ago, you endorsed the UPND.
Exactly.
A few hours later, you flip-flopped and said you'll be in the race. What are you saying to Zambians that don't have trust in you?
They still have to trust me. What I can tell you is that even marriages, there's a divorce can follow after a wedding. So it's not something that you should worry about. The truth is that I've presented myself to the Zambians. I believe I'm the best option. You should have also given us an opportunity to introduce ourselves so that Zambians can appreciate who I am. I'm somebody who is trustworthy. I'm a strong Christian. Got great ideas. So that was just a thing that happens in politics. A lot of things happen in politics. You also heard me call for prayers. A lot is happening in politics. You can see that this year's elections are very strange. They are very unique and different from the others that we've experienced. Yes.
Independent candidate, given Katuta, your story is also one that Zambians are looking at. Your own president, your own running mate has run away from you. He doesn't have confidence in your leadership. Why must Zambians place confidence in you in the next 16 days?
Thank you so much. Zambians have matured politically and they understand that most of politicians nowadays are not principled. And to them, what they're looking at is at the candidate. They're not looking at the running mate. Only a candidate, because it's the candidate which is going to deliver if elected. So I'm happy that we're not living in the olden days where Zambians will not have much of knowledge of what is happening in the country, or also what is happening politically. So Zambians still have confidence. You could see in the comments when that news was shared on social media. I expected negative comments about me as the candidate, but instead it was the other way around. It's a sign that Zambians have come to understand that politics in Zambia have taken another dimension. So they still have confidence in me. Yeah.
Getting back to the package, it is very clear, Mr. Howard Kunda, President of ZAWAPA, that the cost of doing business remains very high. The cost of milling is equally high. What are your deliberate plans within your manifesto to address the high cost of doing business and the high cost of milling?
Yeah, thank you very much. You see, this country belongs to all of us as Zambians, and therefore, when there is unity in any society, you will be able to achieve a lot. So, coming to the issue of the high cost of, doing business, I think that for us, when you are productive, then you will be able to produce more, and obviously the prices, commodities will be able to be determined by how much you will have produced. So for us, it will be more of ensuring that we have production. And that's why I have stated here that we need to involve the men and women in uniform because we are not at war. We should be at war, against the poverty, against the hunger, against these, issues that we are bringing out here. So it is, I think, for us to be involved as Zambians and produce more. That is how we are going to ensure that, as of course, as government, we are also looking at the people awesomely, and not just looking at who is educated. We also need to look at those that are not educated. What are they able to bring on board so that we can have, a country that will be productive? That is what I can say.
Thank you so much. The Democratic Union and your government, Zambia's external debt as of 2025 stands at over $16.1 billion. The current administration boasts of the fact that they have managed to restructure Zambia's debt. They inherited a mountain of debt and they've managed to restructure over 90% of this debt. What is the plan on the debt issue and how will you resolve this issue?
Thank you so much, Andrew. As a Democratic Union, we do not subscribe to the idea of debt restructuring. We don't believe in getting a burden and passing it to your children. So we don't support debt restructuring. What we should be doing is paying back that debt, make a commitment. I think we've got adequate resources in the country to settle that debt. As the Democratic Union, I talked about the creating 4 strategic corporations. One of them is a natural resources corporation, which we are going to use to engage in mining operations in all the 10 provinces. Our desire is that, first of all, we want to see development in all the 10 provinces. So we are also going to create a fund that we are calling the Chiefdom Development Fund, which seeks to help us bring about development in the chiefdoms. So in terms of addressing the issue of our debt, we hope that from these mining operations, we should be able to convert our natural resource into government revenue that we can use to settle our debt. We believe that is very possible. If you look at the FIC report, the one for 2024, it told us that about $3.5 billion went out as illicit funds from the mining sector, which means our mining sector has got great potential. If we can manage our resources very well, we should be able to start bringing down that external debt of 16 billion. So for me, I'm not even scared of the 16 billion. It's not even a lot of money. So I believe as a country, we should be able to manage that. A single person like Dangote got $20 billion to build a refinery. So for me, that does not scare me. I've been saying this before, that for us to open the economy, you can see that there's no liquidity in the market. There are 2 things that we need to do at the moment, is to pay the debt, especially to the local suppliers. Once we pay the local suppliers, we'll be able to open up the economy, then engage in a robust infrastructure development plan. Then we are able to open up. There's not these complex theories that us economists give you. Simple things that you need to do. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let me give an opportunity, Madam Given Katuta, to have a bite at the debt question. How will you deal with Zambia's debt?
Thank you so much. For us, what we intend to do is to make sure that with the help of course, the Zambians themselves, we'll be able to start with what we call sovereign Wealth Fund, we're going to appeal to Zambians who are there in the diaspora, and we ask them to start contributing, at least looking at the population of the Zambians who are in the diaspora. We want to ask them to start contributing at least a $10, roughly, or between $3 and $10 towards that sovereign wealth fund. From there, then we want to use that money to empower the chiefdoms, like with what we call constituents development, CDF farms, so that we can start producing excess of food which we can export. By doing so, we'll be able to have some funds that we can use to improve on like agriculture. So for us, we are saying that the debt restructuring, there was no need even to push it further. I think we should have just gotten, like what I've mentioned, the Sovereign Wealth Fund. Then we invest also in mining, where we empower most of the Zambians. Yeah.
Did I get you correctly? What you're proposing as the solution to addressing Zambia's debt problem is that you want to identify Zambians in the diaspora who are going to contribute a $10. This $10, you'll invest it
in between 3.3 or 10, because we want to create that fund, and from that fund we'll be able to empower like Zambians who will be going into mining like gold mining, and then from there we're going to get, as the government, we buy from those miners, we process our gold and we sell it. We'll have our own money, and they will be able to start paying for the dates.
Thank you so much. Let's quickly move to another key thematic area of our debate tonight. We move to the energy sector. Now, under the electricity subsector, Zambia depends heavily on hydropower generation, which has proved really to be unsustainable. In 2024, the country was hit hard by one of the worst droughts in living memory, which led to prolonged load shedding. I would like to begin with you, ZAWAPA. What is your plan to ensure that the country remains energy sufficient even in the face of a drought?
First of all, you did not give me an opportunity to say something on the debt restructuring. I think I will also add something there.
You have your 2 minutes.
Yeah. I think when you talk about energy, this is something that obviously all of us are concerned about, because without proper energy, then there would be no production in the country. So for us, we would want to invest more, and investing more would be able to get money from this cash cow that we have, which is the mining sector. Once the mining sector is dealt with according to the way it's supposed to be, for it to provide that resource, then we are going to invest in the energy sector. Then of course, we are looking at wind energy. We are looking at the solar energy, which our colleagues, have been pushing, but we intend to do more. And of course, we realize that the northern circuit has a lot of potential in as far as generating plants are concerned. So I think that we would need to invest more in the energy sector for us to achieve that surplus, for us to even export to other countries, because we are a global village. But firstly, we would need to ensure that even this issue of debt is attended to.
Your time is up. Mr. President. Well, in case you are joining us, you're watching the Ultimate 2026 Presidential Debate. We're broadcasting to you live from the Mulungushi International Conference Center. This program is live across 4 TV stations and over 20 radio stations across the country. We also like to thank our cooperating partners, the BBC Media Action and the Civil Society for Poverty Reduction, for making this debate possible. Let's proceed with the debate, and I would like to move on to independent presidential candidate, Madam Given Katuta. The current electricity tariffs have prevented investor confidence in the sector. Others have argued that perhaps it's time we move to cost-reflective tariffs. Is this something that you subscribe to?
Thank you so much. I think I would want to say this. What we've been thinking of what should be done. The tariffs are so high, and for us, we're saying in order to manage the tariffs, to lower the tariffs, we are saying the first thing that we should do is to make sure that we stop first exporting. We try to manage with what we have, and we also introduce, or we work on projects like solar, of course, even wind. There's one project that I've always thought that we can manage with our own resources, of putting up a hydro power station in Bangweolo. So, but in the meantime, we are saying we have to invest more in solar or renewable energy. By doing so, then we can be able to lower the tariffs, which are so high. The current tariffs are so high, it's because of not having enough of energy, that we have just a little of it, and we are also sharing it by exporting it. So we are saying the first thing that we need to do is to make sure that when we have enough surplus of energy, then we can start exporting. At the moment, the little that we've been exporting, some would argue that that's where we can get maybe some revenue, but we're saying we need to end or to stop exporting until we stabilize, so that we can have enough and also the tariffs can be reduced.
Thank you so much. Your time is up. For the Democratic Union, what is your policy on Zambia's energy diversification in the electricity subsector?
Thank you so much, Andrew. So our policy is that we need to have energy sufficiency across the 10 provinces. We intend to introduce natural gas power stations in the shorter term, so that then we attain that energy sufficiency. Then for the longer term, we want to introduce nuclear power stations. You just asked about the price of electricity. When we have the opportunity to introduce nuclear power energy, then you find that the cost will reduce because it's cheaper to the user. And talking about also the cost-reflective one, I believe we are a developing country. Maybe we can segregate between the retail users, the domestic users, as well as the businesses. Let the businesses go on a cost-effective plan, and the households can still go on subsidized energy. I think it is very important. I'm very particular in terms of improving the living standards of our people. Already we are talking about the high cost of living. Then again, we put expensive electricity. Where are they going to get the leverage for people to enjoy their lives, or to build capacity so that they're able to explore business opportunities? So for us, our policy is that we need to have energy sufficiency. Our desire as a democratic union is to build what we are calling a new Zambia through a transformative process. So that will require a lot of investment in the energy sector, because we are looking at industrializing Zambia. That is the reason we are setting up the capital economic zone, so that we can mobilize capital to empower the local Zambians to invest in value addition industries. So that's our policy on energy.
ZAWAPA, the petroleum subsector is a critical component of any economy. But with the current geopolitical tension, how will you ensure that fuel supply is not disrupted?
Obviously, we all know that there are these issues of war in the Middle East. What we intend to do as Zambia Wake Up Party is to look at other areas, because it's not just in the Middle East where oil is found. There is our African countries, Angola. I think that would need to expedite those agreements that would ensure that we have constant supply. Put up a pipeline, for example, from Angola to Zambia, so that we can make it a point that we have this supply is dealt with. But also, we need to explore. This country should have oil, because from time immemorial, we have been told that this country has oil. But what we have not done is to explore that issue with that vigor, so that we can address these issues. But of course, we all know that it comes with a lot of interests. And I am putting it here today that Zambia Wake Up Party is committed to ensuring that this country, finds the oil if it is there, so that our issues to do with the fuel prices, the fuel is addressed, because this is something that drives the economy. So it's one of those drivers. I think it is very important.
Your time is up, ZAWAPA. Independent presidential candidate, given Katuta. The Energy Regulation Board in 2023 announced a shift to a new pricing model to have the fuel pump price being reviewed on a monthly basis. What is your party's position on this policy? Will you maintain it when you win the elections in the next 16 days, or will you scrap it off?
Thank you. I believe in continuity and also to improve on what the current government has introduced. We can only scrap it off when we see that it has failed to benefit, or it has failed to help the Zambians. So for us, we believe in continuity, but we are saying that we also need to come up with a moderate, the way we are going to be doing this. If you've noticed, you see that the price is always reviewed month end, whilst the marketer had bought at a certain price. As a result, sometimes they have losses, sometimes they gain more, and they've been like exploiting the public. So we are saying we will come up with a way of making sure that this pricing is not exploiting the Zambians, also that it's not making the oil marketers to lose out. So we are going to continue with that.
Thank you so much, independent presidential candidate. The Democratic Union, what is your position on the monthly review of the fuel at the pump?
Thank you so much. So with us as the Democratic Union, definitely will not continue with the monthly review. It's an inconvenience to businesses. It disturbs planning, so we'll definitely move to a quarterly one. I think that's the best approach that we can put in place to help the businesses plan and focus. Sometimes contracts take long. If you keep reviewing the fuel price every month, you find that before you execute a contract, the price has changed. So that's a problem for us. So what we intend to do is to put in place a quarterly review. That is going to help businesses plan. That's a better approach. We need to take care of all players in the business. And if you are inconvenienced by the price of fuel changing monthly, then you cannot plan. Businesses thrive on planning and forecasting. If you are not planning and forecasting, then you find that you'll be missing your targets. So I think for us, that's a big inconvenience. Yes.
In this next round of this session, I would love for you to add context to what you would have previously submitted or make a rebuttal to any of the submissions that any presidential candidate has given.
Yeah, I think that I would want to say something about the debt restructuring. You see, debt restructuring in itself, it's something that countries have pursued. But in a country like Zambia, let me refer to, some wedding where somebody said Zambia does not need money. What they need is a leadership that will ensure that the resources are put to good use. And I think that is our position. We do not need to have this debt restructuring happening in our country when we have so much resource. I think it is how you manage the resources. It's how you deal with the cash cow that I have been talking about, the mining sector. It's how you deal with the agriculture sector, how you deal with the energy sector, the education sector, the health sector. I think that these are sectors that are interconnected to each other. And once we put, these sectors in place where they will be able to connect, then we'll have a country that will be able to pay debt without any difficulty, because we'll have had the people who are healthy, people who are educated, people who understand that working for themselves is what drives any society forward, and not to be dependent on every time on other people. I think that this country has everything that we need, and as Zambia Wake Up Party, that is our intention.
The time is up. Unless there's any other pressing issue in this thematic area before we proceed to the next one. Presidential candidates.
Maybe I can just say something on the issue of fuel. It is also important, I think, to vote for young people like myself to take up leadership. Because when we look at things, we plan and look at them strategically. We look at the future. The issue of fuel prices, it can also be taken care of if we are reasonable enough to build strategic reserves. I know the previous government had started a project, I think, which was not continued. So we need to have fuel reserves that can cover us 3 months, 6 months. Just like I'm sure a few weeks ago he was talking about foreign reserves. We also need strategic fuel reserves that can help us cushion the movement of price of fuel. We cannot be talking about the war if it was only for a month and 2 months, then we start feeling the impact. I think then that means our planning is not okay. So we need to diversify. Then we also need to look at other sources of fuel. You know that there's biofuel now. We can provide tax incentives for biofuel producers so that we encourage a lot of fuel production, fuel from what can be grown or from the dirt that you throw. That can also be fuel that we can use. So we need investment in that area. But most of the times we want to focus on the traditional sources. We can also move to electric vehicles, promote, give incentives so that a lot of Zambians can start buying electric vehicles. We reduce the pressure on buying diesel. All these are issues that we can look at. Tell ZESCO to stop generating electricity using diesel so that then the price of fuel, there's no pressure on the price of fuel. All these are interventions that we can put in place to manage the issue of fuel. Then we know that fuel is procured mostly from Middle East. We can look at the region here. We've got certain countries that are producing fuel. So we can enter into partnerships with them so that we reduce the price of fuel. All those are interventions. Then we can also manage our kwacha. I wish we had more time to talk about how we can also use our kwacha to reduce the price of fuel. But those are interventions that we can put in place.
Thank you so much, DU President. Let's move on to the next key thematic sector, which is the mining sector. And on this one, I'd like to begin with you, independent presidential candidate, given Katuta. The country has been mining for decades now. Yet Zambian people feel they have not been benefiting from their mineral resources. Why do you think this is the case? And how will your government address this issue?
Zambians feel they've not been benefiting. It's not only on the paper, even in reality. If you check, to start with where the big mining companies are operating from, is all poverty. Even the corporate social responsibility by these mining companies, I would say it's zero. So, and when you look at also, we're talking about our economy. We've been bragging of being one of the, I would say the second, maybe I would say second largest copper producer if we talk of copper. And if you look at also gold, which everyone is rushing to go and mine, it's not benefiting. The problem which is there is that most of Zambians have not been empowered by partaking of these or being shareholders in a way that they can benefit. For example, when we talk about gold, for us we are saying gold should be strictly mined by Zambians. We buy from the Zambians, we process. And we're also saying we want our copper to be bought from Zambia. We need to bring back Memako so that copper is bought from Zambia. So the reason why Zambians are saying that is that we are producing, and that production is not tarring or marrying with the cost of living of most Zambians. We can't even afford to have proper hospitals. We can't even afford anything as Zambians. It's like we own, but we don't own anything. That's why Zambians are saying so. But for us, we want to say, we want proper partnership with these mining companies.
Your time is up. How will ZAWAPA deal with this issue that I'm about to ask next? We've seen the discovery of critical and strategic minerals like gold across the country. And the discovery has been done by local people, villagers. How will you ensure that these local people benefit from these minerals that they're discovering in their farms?
I think that, first of all, the understanding should be that the mining sector is one area where we have not managed it properly, so to say. Why I say that is because, big mining companies are here, and some are owning 100%, stake. I think that for starters, that is one area that would need to address. Then coming to empowerment for those young people who discover the gold, there's so many other minerals that are discovered by young people. I think that we are placing on the table that there will not be corruption. There will be transparency in as far as giving these licenses to these young people so that they can be part of the extraction. But what we see, is a situation where those young people, after discovery, are displaced, and you see other people taking up those areas. So this is one issue that we intend to come and deal with head on, understanding that this is our cash cow as a country. Development has to depend on this sector for us to ensure that everything else is funded. So this is one area that we are passionate about as Zambia Wake Up Party, and obviously it being a cornerstone of our push to this development. I think that we'll put the Zambian in the forefront.
Your time is up, Mr. President. Let's move to you, the Democratic Union. Illegal mining has been another huge challenge in our country. We've seen the death of so many young people in the mining sector out of illegal mining. How will you deal with illegal mining?
Thank you so much. As a Democratic Union, we do not support illegal mining. We believe everything must be done in a proper way. So as the Democratic Union, we encourage interventions that are going to provide safety in mining. As a Democratic Union, we are setting up a vehicle that we are calling the Mining Investment Agency, where we want to empower Zambians. Our desire is that we build our own citizen billionaires. I'm sure you are aware that the US has got its own state-built billionaires like the Jeff Bezos, the Elon Musk, the Bill Gates. We need to build our own in this country. So we are creating this vehicle which we are calling the Mining Investment Agency so that we can empower our own citizen to engage in mining operations. Of course, we want to promote safety in mining, but also be able to open up markets for them through this government vehicle. Then in terms of bringing integrity and transparency as well as credibility in the mining sector, we are creating an institution which we are calling the Zambia Institute of Mining and Petroleum, so that then the people, the professionals working in the mining sector, as well as the mining houses can be checked. For us, that is very, very important. Then when we talk also of the price of our minerals, when you give me an opportunity to become your president, I am going to engage my fellow presidents in the region. I want to come up with something that we are calling the Southern, East, and Central Africa Metals Exchange, where we are going to determine our own price of the metals that we produce in the region. So for me, that is very important. We've got quite a number of interventions in the mining sector. We're also going to create the Office of the Miner General. We want somebody who's going to be answerable to me when anything goes wrong in the mining sector. Unlike we don't know who to talk to when there's an issue. Thank you.
I'd like to give an opportunity now in this round for you to rebut. Madam Given Katuta.
Thank you so much. I'm having difficulties when I hear my colleague talking about we trying to find help or trying to collaborate. We can collaborate, but I'm a firm believer that we are a matured nation and we can manage on our own. The issue of the mining sector, I wanted to explain when I talked about the sovereign fund, wealth fund. It's not just about the Zambians who are in the diaspora. I wanted to explain how we can get something from the mines, the mining royalties. This is where we can have the fund which will be independent from the government, to be run by a private institution, so that from this sovereign wealth fund we can get that money. We talked about empowering the youths who discover our minerals, so that from that money we are able to help them even to get the equipment and also to provide training for them. So the issue that, as we are saying, is that it's about time that as Zambians we should be able to have something that we should be able to own on our own. From these funds we can use for such projects. So the mining, I think when we talk about the mining, the illegal mining, I don't believe that is illegal. It's because the governments have neglected their own. So their own have decided to find another way of doing this. The government has to come in, like I've said, then us as the government, we're going to facilitate so that that does not become illegal.
Thank you so much. Unless there's something real pressing before we move on to another sector.
Yes, just on the same illegal mining, I just wanted to state that ZCCM-IH is there for a purpose. And I think that would need to have ZCCM-IH be involved in the mining itself, not just to own shares. We believe that, partnership with these so-called illegal miners and ZCCM-IH being part of it, I think that the illegality aspect would be dealt with. And as Zambia Wake Up Party, it's our belief that given an opportunity to have the instruments of power, I think that these illegalities will be dealt with.
Let's quickly move on to the next sector, which is the agricultural sector. I would like to begin with you, the Democratic Union. Zambia experienced a drought in 2024, affecting the livelihoods of our people. What concrete measures will your government implement over the next 5 years to make Zambia's agricultural sector more resilient to climate change?
Thank you so much. I believe you're also aware that there's an El Nino that may be coming through upon our land somewhere in November. So we believe that we have to look at how we can then protect ourselves. What is very important for now is that we need not to continue to rely on so much rain-fed agriculture. We need to invest in irrigation. For a long time, I think we've been talking about this story of irrigation investment. So the Democratic Union's plan is that we are going to invest in irrigation development. So we've created another strategic cooperation, which we are calling the National Construction and Engineering Cooperation, which is going to roll out the irrigation development agenda of the Democratic Union, so that then when we have a drought, we still be able to continue to produce our staple food. We don't believe in being stuck. Me being a military person, I don't believe in getting stuck and giving excuses. We always have to find solutions. So we've put in quite a number of interventions and tools in place to ensure that the Zambians don't suffer because of drought or any other reason. So this is what we are going to do. So we intend to start producing our staple food, maize, 3 times a year, 1 rain-fed and 2 irrigated. This is very, very important for us. So there's a huge investment that needs to go into irrigation development. That's why when we are talking about the mining sector, we talked about setting up the Natural Resources Corporation so that the government resource envelope can grow to cover such projects. So for me, that is very, very important in terms of keeping our people food secure.
Independent presidential candidate, given Katuta, under the Farmer Input Support Program policy, concerns remain over delayed input distribution, beneficiary selection, and unpredictable crop prices. If elected into government in the next 16 days, how will you reform FISP to improve productivity whilst ensuring that farmers receive their fair return for their produce?
I want to say this. We are firm believers in continuity. We have a program which the government has. Let me just say this. What is there? We have SAF program, and we also have FISP program. So for us, we are saying we're going to use the SAF program to improve the farming techniques of the farmers, especially these who are in the rural areas, because Zambians are fed by the small-scale farmers. It's not the commercial farmers. So we are saying we want to take this SAF program to another level. So what we are going to do is that we want to make sure that others will remain on FISP, then others, those who seem to have larger hectareage, we put them on SAF program where they're going to get, they can be able to get the farming inputs in time. We've had a challenge in our country. FISP normally is not being given to our farmers on time. So for us, in order to meet this, because we have a lot of farmers, every year the number of farmers are increasing. So we are saying, let's have those who will be on FISIP, and let's have those we want to push with SURF. By doing this, we are going to make sure that we have improved and output of the produce that will be produced by both those who are on FISIP and those also who we're going to give SURF. It's important that we'll make sure that we are paying the farmers immediately they harvest, they take to...
Your time is up.
Yeah.
Madam President, thank you so much. ZAWAPA, Zambia has taken a cautious approach to GMOs, citing health and environmental concerns. However, others argue that GMOs could improve yields and strengthen food security during periods of drought. What is the party's position on the cultivation and consumption of GMOs in Zambia?
Yeah, thank you very much. The issue of GMOs, I think that we would need to do more research on this issue. Why? Because I think there is not sufficient, information as to the safety of the people when they consume, and also does it, manifest long term, and so there is need to do more research so that we understand that this is safe for our people. From a long time, I think that our position has always been that we do not allow the GMO, products to be in the market. Why? Because we still have a lot of land, a lot of, water in this country. We can grow, and our soils are still good, so we can grow the local, the local seeds, so that our people are not put in a situation where there would be, these diseases, and also we have seen that there's been an escalation in as far as cancers and all these things are looked at. So it's our intention that would need to do more research so that we understand firmly that this is safe for our people's consumption. The issue of FISIP, for us as Zambia Wake Up Party, this is an area where we intend to use as a social program. Guaranteeing food security.
In conclusion, your time is up. In conclusion,
it will be done by the men and women in uniform.
Well, to millions watching and listening to us both on radio and television, but also those that are following us on social media, you can continue giving us your thoughts, your questions, and contributions regarding the 2026 ultimate presidential debate. We've got some comments from social media. We are streaming this program on our Facebook page. That's our Diamond TV Online. Jobat Modenda says he's watching from Namwala. Sonenin Like says following from Mongo. Lunga on camera says, thank you so much, Diamond TV. We are watching from Lunga in Pola. Thank you so much, Roderick. You're watching from Luansha. Well, we're getting your questions on our Facebook platform. Ensure that you drop in your questions regarding the issues that we are discussing tonight. We move on to another key thematic area of our discussion tonight. We're looking at health, social welfare, and education. We went into the streets of Lusaka to find out from the people what they think about Zambia's healthcare system. This is what they told us.
Okay, when on up health, in a city on up, That is very bad. Otherwise, tikaenda kuma hospitals isitirandira mankhwala yaliyonse, tikaenda mankhwala batirembera. Or for example, last time nanda na mwana clinic, mwana is very serious. Instead vanipase mankhwala vanangonirembera. Otherwise, jasemeni kusogola semeni nazinga na mwana. Nando sasa sandaba pa private zena ndo kuti mwana apode. Mani shitipeleka kuti government eteze nayo. Starting from 4 years until manje, kulibe siniona po change iliyonse mu government. Maybe there's a change.
Currently, what we are facing is that we're having challenges on shortage of drugs and treatment, and also for the medical personnel to attend to you. It takes a lot of time. For instance, let's take for instance, if you go to the hospital or any clinic, they do take time to attend to a sick person. And then the other thing is that we do have shortage of drugs or medicine. You find out that they will write a prescription to go and buy the medicine when the medicine is already in the hospital or in the clinic.
Sometimes kumankalati wadwala kutoka kuseni. Waenda kuseni, let's say waenda kuma 6 hours. Uzaenda kujua doctor waza kushitadend. Then kuzikankala na kuenda kuma labu na vasala uzopezi katibai 16 ukachiri ku hospital. Chinango chamine ningakambe konchakutila ninkwala ma hospitals mulibe. Ungankale the whole day kutoka kuseni ufuka mazulo. Pabolo kupasi chape panado. Then mankwala ya sala wakamba tendani kagule.
Ngatwaya kuchipatala walalipira 5 kwacha ya kushita ichili buku chilya. Walalolera nangu 3 hours. Kulyo kuyana muri ba doctor bala ya kuipusha finshi mulwere bala kupusha fe bwino. Ukuya kulyanga ni ku pharmacy bala ya kupera fe panado ibiri. Na kapirito ni kamo eko wachika dilanishi ama awazi yonse ayaendi ero limo tabasakamana nokusakamana kuti limbi umuntu nalwarisha sana omuntu baletinikafye inankane amafoni ukwabula ukuposa kona amano ndatwabe bati imwe kuli emergency kuimwe na imwe ikale ni fyoko mwamo nao mwanjini health yena taya babwino ama services nangse pano no ndemiba.
Presidential candidates, those are the voices of the people. I'd like to begin with you, the Democratic Union. From the people's voices, they are saying there's no medicines when they go to these public health facilities. How will you deal with this problem?
Thank you so much, Andrew. If you look at my campaign poster, it talks about Mfana wa Chikata. So what we are saying is that there shouldn't be empty pharmacies in hospitals. We need to stock them. We're also looking at the bigger picture. I think the allocation to the health sector is very low. If you talk about the Abuja Declaration, where we also committed that 15% of our budget will go to the health sector, but in 2026 we are sitting at 12%. So we are not doing well. In 2025, we spent 23 billion kwacha on the health sector and spent 43 billion kwacha in paying interest on our loans. So there's a huge discrepancy in terms of how we are managing the health sector and just the country at large. So for us to start with, we would want to make healthcare accessible and affordable. So the first step that we will take is that we will look at the legal framework. We want to change the Public Health Act as well as the National Health Services Act. We want to come up with a legal framework that focuses at prevention rather than cure. We want to come up with a legal framework that we are calling the Primary Healthcare and the Community Health Services Act, so that then we also ring-fence funding to the communities, but focusing on providing healthcare at community level, so that then we reduce the disease burden on the government. Because when illnesses become critical, it becomes so expensive. Unlike when you take care of, say, illnesses at primary level. So that way then you're addressing the issue. So this is what we want to focus on. Our assurance that every kwacha that goes to the health sector will not be stolen, but will be used for the intended purpose.
Thank you so much, the Democratic Party. Independent presidential candidate, Given Katuta, our national insurance scheme is facing serious financial crisis, a serious financial crisis. NIMA, how do you intend to resolve or reform NIMA? when you come into office?
Thank you. The National Health Insurance is supposed to cover even someone in the deepest rural area. So for us, we're saying in order for every Zambian to access quality health care, we are going to, I would say we are going to do segmentation of how Zambians will be paying for NEMA. The challenge that we have and the thing that has led to NEMA to be bankrupt is because we have the certain amount that is paid by everyone, even those who can afford. When I listen to some of the people there on the who were interviewed, it's very sad that we cannot even have medicines in the hospitals. The thing is that government hospitals are overwhelmed with population. So we want to change how NEMA is going to be operating. We are saying all the corporate institutions or business entities, they'll have a certain amount that they'll be contributing to NEMA, so that amount that they'll be contributing, just like the way it is like pay as you earn. So even with NEMA, that's how it's going to be. We're going to be asking everyone to pay according to what they earn, so that those who are unemployed can access quality health care. When we have that kind of arrangement with NEMA, it means those who are poor or those who are unemployed can even go to a private hospital. They can be attended to by any hospital. As it is now, it's very difficult because the amount which is paid is very little. So we are saying we're going to segment who is going to pay what in order to cover for everyone. We want everyone to access quality health care.
Thank you so much, Madam President. Coming to you, ZAWAPA, there's an imbalance in the health worker patient ratio. This is one of the biggest complaints that we had from that package. How will you deal with this imbalance?
Yeah, with your permission, I also want to deal with that aspect of NEMA.
In 2 minutes, yes.
Yes, I think that this issue of the health sector is supposed to be overhauled awesomely. Having sat as a Public Accounts Committee chairperson, I think that I came to understand that these issues of providing leadership in as far as issues to do with the health of the citizens is paramount, and would need to awesomely overhaul this sector so that it can be beneficial to the citizens, and not where we see even the little resources that are pushed there. You see a lot of gray areas in as far as using these funds are concerned. Now, it is very important that the issue to do with NEMA is capitalized with a proper leadership structure that should be ensuring that there is medication. Of course, government coming in to resource it enough to advance that health aspect to the citizens. And of course, the mining sector should also come in. Let us come up with ways of contributing. Those that are earning more, they should contribute more. Those that are earning less, they should contribute less. Those that are not able to contribute, they are able to be cushioned by others who have that.
Thank you so much. Your time is up. The Democratic Union, education in Zambia at the moment from grade 1 to grade 12 is free. I would like to, and the Zambians tonight would like to understand your policy on education and whether there's any plans to subsidize tertiary education.
Thank you so much. Maybe before I comment about education, I must also comment about NEMA. I think there's no problem with the administration of NEMA, but they are constrained in terms of resources. As the Democratic Union, what we intend to do is under the Chiefdom Development Fund, there's a 0.25% that will be going to NEMA to fund it. I don't want to strain my already highly taxed citizen or the businesses, no. There is a fund that we're going to give them from the Chiefdom Development Fund to improve healthcare in the communities. Then talking about the education sector, it's sad that today the quality of education has deteriorated. What we desire as the Democratic Union is, of course, to continue with free education, but to extend it to tertiary. If we are constrained with resources, there are 4 professions that we are going to make sure that they begin to access free education at tertiary. That is agriculture, mining, engineers, and technologists. These will definitely be on a free education at tertiary level. But their desire is that everyone should access free education at tertiary. Because today, if you talk about a grade 12, I can employ a grade 12 to be my garden boy. As a grade 12, we are not that much useful. So we need to make sure that we make our citizens useful by giving them free education at tertiary. So that's the best way to empower them, and that's the best way to invest in them. Thank you.
Who is going to fund this free education at tertiary level?
Yes, definitely. For us, what is very important is to manage our natural resource. That's why I've told you that we are coming up with mining operations in all the 3 provinces. We want to start with precious minerals through the Natural Resources Corporation. We are going to get involved in mining operations. We've got a lot of gold. I'm sure gold is everywhere, even here where we are, there should be gold. So we want to engage in those mining operations. We also talked about the issue of paying our debt. So these mining operations should make sure that the living standards of our people are improved. So we need to educate a lot of Zambians so that we benefit from our natural resource. There's been a lot of mismanagement. When you look at the... Okay.
Your time is up. Independent presidential candidate. Education is free from grade 1 to grade 12. The biggest challenge today is the quality of this education. Any plans by your party or by your government to address this challenge?
For sure. It shouldn't be to access free education. It should be to access quality education. For us, we are saying the government schools are over-enrolled. So we are saying we are going to encourage the unemployed teachers, because as a government we cannot employ all the teachers. We are going to encourage unemployed teachers to form cooperatives, and we are going to facilitate for funding for these unemployed teachers, especially in densely populated areas, to come up with private schools. Then we'll start taking children from these over-enrolled schools. We take those children, we put them in these private schools, which the government will be paying for. By doing so, we'll also be creating wealth for these unemployed teachers, and we'll also be able to give quality education for these young people who were in government schools where they are overpopulated in classes. So the other thing is that...
But why not just build more classes for these children?
Building more classes for these schools, it will not happen overnight, because looking at what we have in the Treasury, remember, I'm insisting that for us, we believe in continuity. So we can build schools, but it cannot happen overnight, seeing the population throughout the country. So the only way is to have what we're saying, because these private schools we're talking about, it's very easy for these teachers who are unemployed, maybe to get 2 houses in Tendere, for example, they convert that into school. It's easier, because we have a lot of places where we cannot build, we cannot start building classrooms or schools.
Thank you so much, Madam President. ZAWAPA, every year the country offloads thousands and thousands of students from different universities and colleges. The students that these universities and colleges offload, unfortunately, don't have jobs. Most of them that graduated even 10 years ago don't have jobs today. What is the plan for these graduates that are graduating annually in their thousands by your government?
Yeah, thank you very much. First of all, I would not want to be talking very nice things that, no, we are going to, find jobs for you. First of all, we would need to be truthful to each other. The people who are coming on board from the schools, I think that we need to first understand what is it that they have gone to learn. Shouldn't it be that when you go to a college, when you go to a university, you are going to learn, a skill that should, give you that freedom, and not to come and work for somebody? Shouldn't we be looking at being innovative? And I think that these young people, these people who are coming from universities, they are innovative enough to help them in a way, of course, government facilitating some loans, facilitating those things that will help them go and shape that education that they have gotten. I think as Zambia Wake Up Party, we need real partnerships with those that are coming from the universities, and not to promise that we are going to give you jobs. When they have gone to those universities, those schools, it is time to get something that when they go out there, they are able to, give out to community, because they have also been given that education at great cost. So for us, we are not going to be massaging, we need to tell the young people, those graduates, the truth that they will need to come and give back to the community.
Thank you so much.
And not to just expect that government will employ them.
Still on social welfare, there's a number of empowerment programs that the current administration came up with when we were faced with a drought as a country. One of the emergency initiatives they came up with is what government calls cash for work, which they have continued, which government has continued until now. If elected, the Democratic Union, will you continue with this initiative, and do you think it is sustainable?
Thank you so much, Andrew. For us, we are looking at sustainable jobs. Like I mentioned earlier, we are going to create about 4 million jobs through the strategic operations that we want to set up in agriculture, mining, engineering and construction, as well as technology and innovation, and also through the capital economic zone. And also maybe just to announce to the Zambians that if you give me an opportunity to be your president in August, we are going to set up a new ministry that we are calling the Ministry of Strategic Operations. We are a transformative political party. We believe in transformation. So we need all the think tanks in this country to be in this ministry so that they can help us run these strategic operations as well as transform this country. All these are employment opportunities that we are going to create. So we believe in sustainable jobs, not cash for work. We need people to get into employment. But one thing that you must be aware also is that not everyone has completed their primary education, tertiary, whatever form of education. There are those who dropped out in grade 2, grade 5 and all that because of various reasons. But if you talk about the issue of the cost of living, it hits everyone. It doesn't choose that you are not in school, you're not in school, so it will spare you, no. So even those who haven't been to school are hit hard. So through the strategic operation, the one for national construction and engineering, we are going to create a department where we are going to employ those who have never been to school so that everyone is catered for, is given economic power. So we want sustainable jobs, not cash for work, where you work for a few hours, then you're just given the other time you have got nothing to do. We don't want imita ufole type of work, no. We want something very stable, very sustainable. This is our desire.
Well, thank you so much. Before we can come to question and answer session, we'll look at another key thematic area, which is democracy and good governance. But once again, we'd like to thank our cooperating partners, the BBC Media Action and the Civil Society for Poverty Reduction, for making this debate possible. This debate is broadcasting across TV stations and radio stations, across 4 TV stations and across 20 radio stations in our country. As Damo TV went out into the streets to find out what people think about the state of our democracy, we also went out to the experts to ask them what they think about democracy. This is what they told us.
Elections are more than choosing leaders. They are about accountability, transparency, and protecting democratic institutions. As Zambia prepares for the 2026 general elections, questions about governance continue to shape public debate.
We took to the streets and asked people what they think about the state of democracy in this country.
Boba nensu ba PF bale teka tatoke to umutende tatoke te peace to wale tinga kwa kwa tefa timo fore fiale tinga chino mfuelenga na fore chale ni problem bale tuchofe bale fo yabe no mbopo ba new doni ba ikale pa mupani au mwandi ni na peace muchalo cha Zambia po peace.
So personally, I think democracy is there, but it's not being fully practiced to the core. What do I mean? When you look at other political parties, they're not being allowed to hold their rallies in peace.
A freedom of movement at least cannot change because my attack is too much. My junkie, lawlessness, because from a bus station. Bakupeza ni so simungala mtendere ni kuchinja road ukabapeza sasa kuchoka mu road chapi kubasira road so tikangana mwane mivenze lili at least taonako kulikako ka change.
Personally, I don't think they are being treated equally. So we're just hearing words that okay, everyone is going to be treated fairly and everyone is allowed to hold their rallies, but we are seeing otherwise.
Those are the views of the general public. But let's hear from experts over democracy in this country. Has it improved since 2021?
The current state of democracy, I think, is not very good in the sense that democracy is supposed to be a system where there is a freedom of speech, freedom of the media, where there is a competition between political parties, and where there is tolerance of divergent opinion and divergent views. In a democracy, we also expect respect for the rule of law. Now, most of these things that are ingredients of democracy don't seem to be at play in Zambia.
I think transparency is one of the principles of governance. And it is important because in governance, the governed and those governing interact. And therefore, the interaction should be based on some form of information. And so transparency allows for access to that information so that the interaction between the governed and those that are being governed is effective, is constructive, is progressive. Now, we therefore looked at the UPND's manifesto and compared it with the manifesto that they shared in 2021. You will see that from our analysis, the 2021 manifesto was very, very clear in terms of their commitment to the fight against corruption. But when you look at the current manifesto, anti-corruption doesn't seem to be a priority, but also you've seen some of the reforms that have happened at the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution. Zambia Prosecution Authority, National Prosecution Authority. All those show that, yes, the government actually made some strides in strengthening the fight against corruption. But I think there are things that still need attention. For example, the perception, which for 4 years they failed to deal with, the perception that they seem to be targeting their opponents.
Zambia has been a very peaceful democracy. Peaceful in the sense that we know of the so many elections we've held since 1991, especially. I'll start from the multi-party democracy. However, there are certain concerns. The concerns are basically the patronage, the too much executive power, which threatens the democracy that we have enjoyed. I may not even attach the protection of democracy to UPND. I think I will attach the protection of the democracy to all successive governments. How do we expect any of these institutions to provide the correct oversight over the appointing authority? Because if you give me a job, I pay allegiance to you. And if you have made any mistake in your conduct, in anything that you do, it is very difficult for me to come to you, who gave me a job, who has put bread and butter on my table, to come and tell you that you are making mistakes.
Democracy and good governance extends beyond election day. It depends on informed citizens, accountable leadership, and institutions that uphold the rule of law. As Zambia prepares to vote, many hope the next chapter will strengthen not only government, but public trust in the country's democratic processes.
Well, thank you so much, Lillian Chipeso, for that package on democracy and good governance. And if you watch the package quite clearly, I'll begin with you, the Democratic Union. It seems to me that we are on the fence. The citizens feel there's some form of strides that has been made in the protection and enhancement of our democracy. Yet the experts are raising alarm and concern over the current state of our democracy. Where does your party stand with regards to the state of our democracy?
Thank you so much, Andrew. If you recall, last year we had that UN rapporteur who came to look at the same issue. I think the issues haven't been addressed adequately, but let me speak from the Democratic Union's point of view. The reason we set up the Democratic Union is that we wanted to bring about a new era of politics in Zambia, one which prioritizes integrity, transparency, and accountability. Our ideology is anchored on Christian democracy, which talks about freedom, press freedom, freedom of religion, assembly, opinion, and also justice. We believe that all men are equal before God, therefore needed to be treated fairly, needed to be given opportunities equally. We also believe in solidarity, speaking for the vulnerable in society. But what worries me the most is about transparency. When you look at the independence of our institutions, it's worrying. The executive, the legislature, as well as the judiciary, they don't seem to be independent. But what makes me have sleepless night is the judiciary. How can we trust the judiciary? We have two incidences where the judiciary were asked to vacate their decisions. I think the first one was the issue of the eligibility of the former president, the late former president, and also the issue to do with the constitutional amendment, where they were asked to vacate their decision when they judged that the way the constitutional amendment process was initiated was unconstitutional. So if you go further, it worries me because you see, if investors have to come into this country, they have to be assured that the judicial system will treat them fairly when they've got a matter to take to them. So lack of independence, I think for me, it's a big problem. The Democratic Union has made a very serious commitment in its manifesto, and I believe we are the only political party in the country which has made a bold statement to say that we want to be accountable to God and man, both God and man. That's a very serious statement to show how much we want to be accountable for our actions. So this is what the Democratic Union stands for. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Independent presidential candidate given Katuta. Successive governments have promised to repeal the Public Order Act, stating very clearly that this is indeed an archaic law. What is the position of you and your government when you form it in the next 16 days on how you will deal with the Public Order Act?
Where we talk about good governance and democracy, I think that's where all the governments have failed the Zambians. They've all promised that they would repeal that law. For us, it's the first thing. The reason why I stand independent, I've been an independent member of parliament because I believe in democracy and I believe in constitutional rights of the Zambians. And for the Zambians, in order to fully enjoy their constitutional rights by, having affiliation with whosoever and also to be gathering at whatever time and also to protest, because to protest against the government is the right of a Zambian. But since I think the time of MMD, I've seen that Zambians do not have that chance of voicing out their grievances through protests. So most of the governments have failed the Zambians. So we are saying we are going to repeal that law. It's not rhetoric and it's not about appeasing anyone, because that's the fundamental right of a Zambian. And we've seen that the current government wanted to even to introduce gathering, public gathering law, which is also similar to the archaic law we're talking about. But for us, we are saying Zambia is for the Zambians. We want to see the unions speaking on behalf of their workers. We want to see Zambians themselves protesting to say we cannot be treated like aliens in our own country. We want to see Zambians saying we cannot give so much power to an individual in the name of presidency. So for us, we are saying this is the core foundation or fundamental of human rights of the Zambians. It's the first thing that we're going to do, because we are firm believers in independence of the Zambians.
Thank you so much. ZAWAPA, there is a common phrase that now is being used on social media for many of those that like to interact on the digital space. This phrase is, "I don't have a lawyer." When they say that, they're making reference to the cyber laws. They feel that there's a big brother somewhere watching them. What is your party position on the cyber laws?
I think that for issues to do with good governance, this is an area where you need to have a leadership that is focused on wanting to bring development, and real development for that matter, to its people. First of all, the biggest problem that we have as a country is that our laws are tilted towards giving power to one office, and that is the presidency. For us, we are not shy to state that, or afraid to state that we would want to come and give back the power to the people. Why we intend to do that is because when you believe in accountability, when you believe in the rule of law, I think that you would not fear to be accountable. You would not fear to be transparent, So these are real issues, realities that this, party that is seeking for office is committing itself to come and achieve. That will take away all these issues that we are talking about, because we will be able to see that there is serious and separation of power, that the speaker will be appointed elsewhere apart from the presidency. The chief justice is appointed elsewhere. The IG is appointed elsewhere and not the presidency to be appointing everyone. SEC, fighting corruption, all those issues, I think for us, we are ready to deal with the good governance.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. The Democratic Union, you earlier mentioned that the biggest problem you have is around the independence of the three arms of government. You singled out the judiciary and how you feel it has, due to lack of a better term, it has expressed itself over certain issues. You mentioned two cases in particular. What is the strategy of your government to ensure that there's true independence of the three arms of government? ZAWAPA speaks of reducing the powers of the executive. What is the strategy for you as Democratic Union?
Thank you so much. I think it also begins with the issue of integrity of the leaders. I think we are all aware that these institutions should be independent. So the first thing that we need to do is to make sure that these institutions operate independently, that is without political interference. I think that's the best move that I can assure the Zambians, that there won't be political interference from myself as the president, so that they pass professional judgments. I think that is very, very important. Yes, we can talk about the appointments and everything like that, but it is important that politicians behave with integrity, especially if you are the president. That is what is very key. Maybe I should also comment on the issue of the cyber law, the Cyber Crimes and Security Act. I've heard many candidates misleading the citizens. That some of them have stated already that when I come into power, I'll come and repeal these acts. Others have said, even the UPND said the same thing when they were in opposition. For me, I've got a very different position. You see, the cyber laws are not about curtailing our freedoms, but it's about protection. Protection in that we are supposed to be protected when we operate in the cyberspace. There are a lot of scammers that steal our money. We need these laws to protect us. We need institutions to protect us. But one thing that you need to know from a person aspiring for the office of the president, like I've stated, you need to look at things strategically. Why am I saying this? I'll just give you an example. There's a country in Asia that is under sanctions, and they are still engaging in nuclear programs. How are they financing all those things? What they engage in is illicit activities. They go into financial institutions and steal that money to fund themselves. So do you want to make the country Zambia vulnerable? So if you're a president, please don't mislead the citizens, and please don't put businesses in jeopardy, because you're putting businesses in jeopardy if you don't create that fence that needs to be there through the cyber security agency. So this is very important. If you hear any political presidential candidate saying I'll come and repeal them, just know that they're the wrong person. Don't even vote for them. Yeah.
Well, that's for the Zambians. Let's quickly get to the Q&A. I would love for us to start with the first question from the Civil Society for Poverty Reduction through its Executive Director, Madam Kilebai.
Well, thank you very much. I'm not the Executive Director. I'm the Lead Economic Governance from Civil Society for Poverty Reduction. My name is Emmanuel Zulu. I'd like to appreciate Diamond TV and all the partners that have made this possible. Thank you very much to the candidates, or the aspirants, presidential aspirants, I should say. We are getting a lot from you. I'll go straight to the question. I think most of us here, I think we've been to hospitals in Lusaka, and a few have been to rural hospitals or clinics, if at all that exists. I think we have noticed the disparity in the quality of services that are provided for citizens in the urban areas and those in the rural areas. In some rural areas, even an X-ray does not exist. We are aware of that. In the urban areas, we will have maybe a few facilities here. The quality of the workforce in the rural areas, you find the person maybe manning a health facility is a nurse. these are things that we are hardly talking about. How are we going to bridge that gap? We have the National Health Insurance Scheme in place, and we are aware that we are aspiring for universal health coverage. But I think little has come out from the candidates on how they are going to ensure that we bridge this gap in terms of health service delivery. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm going to pick three more questions for this first round of questions. Let's pick another question rather from the CCNG Programs Manager, Peter Manangombe. Please make it very short and simple.
Yeah, thank you very much, and good evening, everyone. So I think you've all talked about the need to reduce the powers of the president. And I want to assure you that you are certainly not the first people to do that. In 1991, this conversation was held, and in the many elections that we've had, and it seems that the question of how has not been addressed. We need to also talk about, you talked about the need to separate the three arms of government effectively. But I think for me, it's one thing that we have neglected to do is to look at how each of the appointed officials by the president, including ministers, and indeed members of parliament, they take oath of office and affirm their support and allegiance to the president. How do you effectively then provide checks and balances or indeed remain independent? Because as a public institution, as a public officer, your allegiance should be to the people of Zambia and to the Constitution. What am I saying? The Official Oath Act requires that all these officials, including those that are going to be members of parliament, including the vice president, take or swear allegiance to the president and not to the Constitution and to the people of Zambia. How will you deal with this reality and ensure that should you form government on 16th or after 16th August, you are going to indeed walk the talk in this regard? Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. The next question is coming in from the NGOCC Executive Director, Anne Mbewe Anamela.
Hey, thank you very much. I haven't heard the presidential candidates talk about the role of the private sector in development. And linked closer to that is the high cost of finance in Zambia. Access to finance in order to grow business is very, very expensive. So I'd like to hear the perspective of the candidates on private sector involvement and how they're going to make the environment conducive.
For this round, the next question is coming from Mofia Nsofwa, the president of the ex-Kawambwa Boys.
Thank you. Thank you very much for Diamond TV for bringing up this kind of event, the debate, so that we can have also a chance to speak to the aspiring presidential candidates. I heard the GAU aspiring candidate, the presidential candidate, say he doesn't need anything to do with the debt restructuring. So I wanted to know, because in accounts they say for every entry it needs to have a corresponding entry, isn't it? That's a double entry system. So now, how is he going to manage not to go and renegotiate the debt that was accrued by the other government, to ensure that at least we trading in a smooth way, because the country cannot move forward minus renegotiating the huge debt that we had. Then number two, if we focus to say we are focused too much on the mining and agriculture, what have you taken a research on how you are going to raise the money to ensure that those sectors that you are mentioning are able to give you the money that you need, because according to what we know, almost everyone, the biggest income generator where we get a lot of revenue is Zambia Revenue Authority, you see? So you are focusing too much on the mining sector and the agriculture sector, and you are focusing too much on the small-scale farmers, and you are leaving the commercial farmers. Have you taken a research on those lines to ensure that everyone is included in the income generation? Then number two.
No, I think only one question. Thank you so much, Mr. Moffat and so far. I'll direct the questions. Well, the last question was directed directly to you, the Democratic Union President. You have 1 minute to respond to his concern.
Thank you. I didn't say that we are going to break it there and then and start paying. What we are going to leave it run its course, but we are going to start making commitments to make sure that we start paying that debt. So for your own information, when I talked about the Chiefdom Development Fund, it will be effective January 2027. It's a 2.5% that we are going to levy on the mining operations. We need to take care of our health. We need to take care of the pension. We want to introduce a pension for small-scale farmers in the rural areas. We also want to make sure that we take care of the youths. We also need to make sure that we invest in technology and innovation. By the way, what you need to know is that in 2023, according to ZRA, the mines contributed 31% of what they collected. In 2024, when the copper output increased to 820,000, they only collected 28%. So there's a problem in the mining sector that we need to attend to quickly. I'm sure you've also had preview to look at the FIC reports. $3.5 billion left illicitly from mining activities. So there's a lot that we need to do in terms of addressing the mineral resource as well as the debt burden. Yes.
Independent presidential candidate, Kevin Katuta.
I must say that you've not given me much of time to talk. I think you've been directing most of the questions to my colleague here. So I would like to, somebody questioned on health and also the gap which is there between the hospitals, the health facilities in urban areas and the rural areas. I think I mentioned how we're going to use this in order for those who are in the rural areas to access quality health care. We are saying we are going to segment how Zambians will be contributing, including business entities, towards NIMA in order to cover that person in Chienge to access quality health care, and also to recruit more health professionals. So by doing so, we'll be able to give quality health care to those who are in the rural areas. And also I wanted to talk about the independence of MPs. Now I'm looking at the time, 1 minute is not enough for us to explain.
You can proceed to respond.
The independence of the MPs, yes, they're made to make a vow, to do their allegiance to the head of state. That's where the challenge is. As we are advocating to have ministers outside the parliament so that there's not conflict of interest. When you have a member of parliament who has vowed to have an allegiance to the president, is bound to agree with some of the even mistakes that the president would want to push. Like most of the time when the bills are brought to the parliament, you've seen what happened with Bill 7. Bill 7 was literally forced on the MPs. Most of MPs didn't agree with that. So the independence of MPs can only be done if the institution where the voices of the Zambians should be heard, the parliament, is completely independent. There's no hidden hands like what has been happening.
Thank you so much, Madam President. ZAWAPA President Howard Kunda.
Thank you very much.
The other issues that haven't been responded to.
Yeah, on the issue of the private sector, that we have not talked about the private sector. That's why I said, you know, when you have an innovative, society, you need a government that will ensure that those innovations are encouraged. The private sector, obviously, that is what plays the biggest role in as far as the economy, the development of a nation is concerned. So that is one area that Zambia Wake Up Party is committed to address and push. The issue of the health, rural health, care, that is very important. One cannot do any work if they are sick. We need a government, a leadership that will push for the rural setup to be, okay. Because on issues to do with the agriculture sector, we have been depending on the rural setup, and therefore we need to have our people okay. The separation of power, I thought,
probably you can
year
that
in, year out,
in your concluding remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me now to give an opportunity to address the Zambians tonight on why you are the right candidate that they should place a vote on in the next 16 days. Your camera is right there. It's your time now to address the Zambians and why you deserve to be next president in 1 minute, 30 seconds.
Thank you so much. So to the Zambians, I believe I'm the best candidate in the forthcoming general election. I'm promising you a fresh start full of new ideas and innovation, and also putting Zambia first. I believe Zambia is at a point where we need a reset, economically, politically, socially, and spiritually. So I am the best candidate. I believe I'm very young, very energetic, with good ideas. Together we can transform this country. My promise is that I'm not coming to fix it alone, but I'm going to work with you to transform this country. I also take this opportunity to respond to my mother here. The Democratic Union is going to adopt a mixed economy. Why we are doing this is that the private sector is choked with a lot of high taxes, and the cost of doing business is very high. So our intention is that government should have another source of revenue. When it has another source of revenue, it's going to give relief to the private sector by reducing the taxes. Not only the private sector, even the citizens. 7% is very high for a developing country. So when we give you that relief, then you'll be able to expand and create more employment opportunities for the young people, like myself and my fellow young people who are here. So this is why we want to adopt a mixed economy, so that we give room to the private sector. I can see businessmen here, so that then the taxes are reduced. I made a commitment that the young people, the youths, in your first year of employment, you are not going to pay as you earn. That year you are going to use it to build your life and settle down. This is what we are going to give you. So I'm the best candidate. I'm appealing to those Zambians in the diaspora and those in the country to vote for me for a fresh start. I'm a military person. There's a lot of discipline and integrity. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Independent presidential candidate, why do you deserve to be president in the next 16 days?
Thank you so much. To the Zambian people, I would like to inform you that time has come for us to have a woman. And I'm not appealing to you to vote for me because I'm a woman, but it's because I want to bring fresh beginning to our country. And it's time for us to also to see to it that every Zambian becomes a partaker of the national cake. You've seen in the recent past that some provinces have complained of being neglected. But for me, I'm saying that time has come for real democracy and for freedom. Freedom that will make and will enable Zambians also to conduct their businesses in conducive environment. And also time has come for us to test the real democracy of having government institutions which will operate independently. Zambians have complained of the National Assembly or the Parliament being diluted, where the voices of Zambians should be heard. Zambians have complained of the judiciary being compromised. Zambians have complained of the executive having too much power. And I'm saying time has come for us to live in the one Zambia, one nation. Thank you, Zambia.
Thank you. Zambia Wake Up Party.
Why Howard Kunda? I think that I'm standing here not a person who is coming on the show wanting to please you. I think that I am here because I am asking that we partner. Zambians, let's partner and develop this country. We have seen that in the past, we have seen politicians coming to tell us those nice things, but have not fulfilled. I think that for us as Zambia Wake Up Party, and for me as an individual, with my team, I think we are giving ourselves with the heart that will work for you. We will work together with you to advance this country because this country has everything. Why should we be suffering when we have everything? That is the question. I think that we need to put in place a leadership that has the heart. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for our presidential candidates. They have shared their vision. They have shared their strategies on how they'll turn around Zambia's economy. They shared their commitments on what they believe about real democracy. They've shared why you deserve to vote for them in the next 16 days. The choice now remains in the hands of the 8.7 million Zambians that are voting in the next 16 days. Our responsibility as Diamond TV is to give a platform to all presidential candidates. And we sent invitations to all of them. Those that come have the chance to speak to the Zambian people, but those that don't, obviously don't have the chance to speak to the Zambian people. We'd like to thank our cooperating partners, the BBC Media Action, the Civil Society for Poverty Reduction, for making this debate possible. But most importantly, we'd love to thank you, the members of the public that have been watching in millions and have been listening to us on various radio platforms, but also you that have come here and be part of the live debate. A big round of applause for yourselves. Like I said earlier on, we did invite 7 presidential candidates, and out of the 7, only 3 have managed to make it for day 1 of the presidential debate. Those that made it: Howard Kunda, president and leader of the Zambia Wake Up Party; Given Katuta, independent presidential candidate; and Ackim Antony Njobvu, leader and president of the Democratic Union. Tomorrow we expect the 7 other presidential candidates to come and be here and debate. This program has been broadcasted to you live at the Mulungushi International Conference Center across 4 TV stations: Diamond TV, channel 271 on DSTV, channel 20 on Go TV. We've been streaming live on our Facebook page at Diamond TV Online. We've also been live on Musanza, channel 93. We've been live on Mafken TV and radio in the Copperbelt province. We've been live on Radio Liseli in Mongu of Western Province. We've been live on Zambezi FM in Livingstone. We've been live on Iteji Radio in Iteji. We've been live on Voice of Kalomo in Kalomo, Breeze FM in Chipata, Mpangwe Radio in Katete, Millennium Radio in Lusaka, Spice FM in Kabwe, Radio Kabangabanga in Solwezi, Radio Ichengelo in Kitwe, Chimwemwe Radio in Ndola, Radio Yangeni in Mansa, KFM in Mansa, Radio Mano in Mansa, Radio Radio Mano, I beg your pardon, in Kasama, Radio Luansanse in Luwingu, Radio Luswepo in Mbala, ISO FM in Kapiri, Culture FM in Kitwe, Tuta FM in Mansalwapula, and Ekoti Radio in Mungwi, Northern Province. In the next 16 days, Diamond Media will be giving you the biggest election coverage. We have reporters dotted across the 10 provinces of Zambia that will be giving us those results as verified by the Electoral Commission of Zambia. For you, the members of the general public that have been watching on TV, in your millions and listening to us on the different radio stations, tomorrow again at exactly 18